This Family Life News podcast is made possible by the support of listeners like you.
Next on the 5 o'clock report.
I can't feel my fingers.
It's absolutely devastating for the public health of our country.
The bus is a total loss.
The bus is a total loss.
This web is choking. I pat her on back to get a food out of her.
Now, let's go to the newsroom.
Good afternoon and welcome to the broadcast. I'm Family Life News anchor Sarah Harnish. We start with the weather and a little Michael Bublé 20 days before Christmas.
Baby, it's cold outside.
Yeah, it sure is. Bradford, Pennsylvania clocking in at 24 degrees. It feels like 12 with the wind chill. We'll drop below zero tonight in a few thousand cities across New York and Pennsylvania. Tom Hansen is reporting in Tarrytown, New York. He says, send it back.
I can't feel my fingers. Look, we had some record lows overnight. And as we look ahead to today with the wind chill, some cities are going to feel like they're in the negative teens.
With a code blue declared, churches are opening their doors to keep people warm as the sun goes down. Calvary Bible Church in Wilkes-Barre is welcoming those that are cold. Pastor Sam Garnett told WNEP they have 60 cots.
We have the facilities here. You know, God has blessed us with space, and certainly we want to not only provide shelter, but show the compassion of Christ as well.
The frigid temperatures not going anywhere anytime soon. In fact, we'll lose another 10 degrees by Monday. Kevin has your full forecast coming up in a few minutes. There was an unexpected ruling from the CDC this morning to delay the hepatitis vaccine for newborns, but it came with some fireworks in the debate room.
Policies that the American public have experienced during COVID has severely damaged their confidence in public health and in the vaccine enterprise.
We've heard do no harm is a moral imperative. We are doing harm.
In an 8-2 vote, the panel decided parents would now have until the 2-month mark to get that vaccine for their child. The president of the American College of Physicians, Dr. Jason Goldman, is not happy about it.
It's absolutely devastating for the public health of our country.
He says the vaccine serves a purpose.
The evidence is overwhelming. This vaccine has been so successful. That's why we're not seeing as much chronic hepatitis B now.
But Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy says hepatitis can only be passed to an infant if the mom is infected, which is fewer than 1% of live births, or through sexual activity. President Trump was on hand today at the Kennedy Center in Washington for the draw ceremony for the 2026 FIFA World Cup. While there, he's expected to meet on the sidelines with the leaders of two countries to our north and south to talk trade.
We've had a tremendous working relationship with Canada. We have our Prime Minister of Canada there, and we have our President of Mexico. And we've worked closely with those two countries, and the coordination and friendship and relationship has been outstanding, and I want to thank you both very much and your countries very much.
The president will visit Pennsylvania next week as he highlights high inflation prices. He hasn't given specifics yet, but we know it will be in northeastern PA. It's the kickoff of a tour focused on the administration's efforts to combat affordability. In a Politico poll this week, nearly half of respondents said the cost of living was higher than they have ever experienced. Another day, another alleged drug boat destroyed in the Caribbean Sea. CBS's Natalie Brandt has more.
The U.S. military announced a 20-second strike on an alleged drug boat Thursday, killing 4 people the administration identifies as narco-terrorists. It comes as Operation Southern Spear faces increased scrutiny on Capitol Hill.
In the Empire State, 15 middle and high school kids are okay after their school bus caught fire today in East Concord, New York. That's in southern Erie County.
Our bus driver took some really prompt and appropriate actions to make sure that all of our students were able to get off the bus safely and away from the bus before it caught fire.
James Bialasek told WBEN they don't know the cause yet.
We got another bus on the scene relatively quickly, and we were able to get them out of the cold because it was so chilly this morning.
And I'm assuming the bus is a total loss?
The bus is a total loss at this point.
No one was hurt. A small plane operated by the U.S.-based ministry Samaritan's Purse was hijacked this week in South Sudan. The organization says an armed hijacker snuck onto the Cessna Grand Caravan before it took off, carrying medical supplies to a mobile medical unit. The plane eventually set down in South Sudan, and the hijacker was taken into custody. And Netflix has struck a massive $72 billion deal to buy Warner Brothers. Syracuse University's media expert Bob Thompson explains what this means for movies and shows that you want to watch.
The time between film being exclusively in theaters and making its way to Netflix is going to become shorter and shorter.
The Warner Brothers library includes The Wizard of Oz, Harry Potter, and the DC Comics universe. Still to come on the 5 o'clock report, making divorce easier in New York. A majority of Gen Zers have a favorable view of socialism and political conversations that become gospel opportunities. Those stories after weather.
I'm Kevin Williams, and here is your Family Life regional weather forecast. Tonight, skies will be cloudy to partly cloudy, low temps, teens and low 20s. Tomorrow, some sunshine in central and eastern Pennsylvania, cloudy elsewhere, with afternoon flurries reaching western New York and northwest Pennsylvania. Highs in the 30s. Flurries, some lake snow east of Lake Ontario tomorrow night, early Sunday. Otherwise, Sunday mainly cloudy with late day and nighttime snow. High temperatures mid-20s to the middle 30s.
Yeah, a little bit too cold, but thank you anyway, Kevin. It is Friday, and that means it's time to check in with our Capital Connection crew, Jason McGuire with New York Families and Michael Gear with PA Family, hosted by our own Bob Price. We start with the end of marriage. Let's listen in.
Well, Jason, State Senator Liz Krueger likes to make news, and she made news again earlier this week, sponsoring a bill that would make divorce easier. I want to ask you, instead of making divorce easier, what are some ways that New York can strengthen marriage in the Empire State?
Yeah, it's disappointing that the role of public policy always seems to be making divorce easier rather than strengthening marriage where it can.
Yeah.
Just to start with, I think the government could actually start supporting the notion, the idea that marriage between a man and a woman is really what is required to be successful for these kids. You know, it is in the child's best interest to have a mom and a dad. And just taking a public policy position that would be unafraid to acknowledge that would go so far in this state. But let's not leave it just to government. Let's recognize that it is the role of the church also. When the body of Christ can speak to that issue and unashamedly declare it, celebrate it, love it, help this younger generation, which seems more reticent to marriage in general, to see the benefits of marriage and what a blessing it is. If they can affirm that, well, I think that will be the quickest way to turn things around for future generations.
Michael, I want to continue that thought. Young people are waiting longer than ever to get married. The average age for a first-time marriage right now is 30 for a man, 28 for a woman. Are there benefits to waiting longer to get married, or should we do more, the church and the state, do more to encourage marriage earlier in life?
Well, I think there's people who could point to what they would say are a few benefits, but ultimately I don't think what those things would be in any way outweigh getting married earlier. There's so many benefits to getting married that Jason has already pointed out, not the least of which is early childbirth opportunities. As you get older in life, fertility drops significantly. The opportunity to have children, which many people then later in life regret, I wish I had more children or had children at all. And when you wait to get married until those later ages, that becomes a problem. The other thing is later marriage also creates a situation where we have more abortion, because when people put off getting married, that's the typical time when abortion is being sought because of jobs, because of other things that people think, well, in this situation, I shouldn't get married.
Yeah, and you hear so many young people today, Gen Zers, say, I can't get married, I don't have enough money. If that's your argument, you'll never get married because there'll always be not enough money. Jason, when we're picking on Gen Zers, a majority of them, according to recent surveys, have a favorable view of socialism. Why is this worldview so attractive to younger voters? And how can conservatives tap into that angst over the affordability crisis right now?
Well, I don't mean to be condescending in any way, but I do think there is a misunderstanding and a lack of information about what socialism really is. It leads to the deaths of millions of people. That is ultimately where we are. It is not a good position for a younger generation. generation to take. What I think they're reacting to is there is this kind of pushback against crony capitalism. They're seeing a lack of affordability, and they're seeing maybe these enormous wages coming from certain executives, and yet the average worker is struggling to pay their bills. You think about where we are today as opposed to where we were in the 50s and what it would take to afford a home and a car and put a kid through college on a single income. Today, with two incomes, it's still very, very difficult to get by. So I think there's a reaction that's happening, and every time the conservative side can propose solutions that lead to real affordability, well, that's how I think we can win back a younger generation on some of these issues.
Yeah, great point. Michael, we'll end with you. There's a compelling article on your website this week. It's entitled, When Political Conversations Become Gospel Opportunities. So often we're afraid to intertwine politics and religion, but in this article, you argue politics can be a gateway to reaching people for Christ. How so?
Well, I think there's a connection between conservatism and Christianity, not that they're one and the same, but Christianity and conservatism point to objective truth. When you look at the progressive mindset that says that there are things like birthing persons or that men can give birth, many people just say, well, hey, wait a minute, that seems kind of crazy. And then they start asking questions, where are these ideas coming from? And it presents an opportunity to then talk about objective reality. There is a creator, that there are certain truths that nature points to, and then as we point to those truths in nature, we can point to the God who created this world in which we live.
That's Bob Price with Jason McGuire at New York Families and Michael Gear of PA Family. You can subscribe, listen to, and share Capital Connection and all of Family Life's original podcasts at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or at familylife.org.
Filing an insurance claim isn't always the best financial move. Hi, I'm Rob West with another Faith and Finance Minute. Insurance exists to protect you from major losses, not every minor setback. If the damage is small and the repair cost is close to your deductible, think twice before filing a claim. That's because even a small payout can lead to higher premiums for years to come, often costing you more in the long run than paying out of pocket. Of course, if someone else is involved or injured, always file a claim right away. But when it's a minor issue like a small dent, a broken window, or minor roof damage, it might be wiser to cover it yourself. Wisdom means weighing the full cost, not just the immediate one. Sometimes stewardship means knowing when not to file. Manage your finances wisely with the easy-to-use FaithFi app. Download FaithFi, Faith and Finance from your app store, or learn more at faithfi.com.
Coming up on the 5 o'clock report, how confident are 8-year-olds when their teacher is choking? An incredible story straight from the mouths of kids. Next.
Hi, I'm Kevin Williams, and here is your Family Life regional weather forecast. Well, more winter weather is ahead, but at least tonight will not be nearly as cold as it was last night. And of course, in our region this time of year, we have lots of Christmas celebrations, parades, tree lightings, and the weather looks relatively cooperative. Temperatures will be reasonable, if not quite seasonable yet tomorrow in the 30s, but then some snow comes in the form of flurries tomorrow night and an area-wide snow late Sunday and Sunday night, light amounts. In the meantime, for the night tonight, skies will be cloudy to partly cloudy, low temps, teens and low 20s. Tomorrow, some sunshine in central and eastern Pennsylvania, cloudy elsewhere, with afternoon flurries reaching western New York and northwest Pennsylvania. Highs in the 30s. Flurries, some lake snow east of Lake Ontario tomorrow night, early Sunday. Otherwise, Sunday mainly cloudy with late day and nighttime snow. High temperatures mid-20s to the middle 30s.
All right, Kevin, finally at 5, teachers often impart life lessons to students, but it was literally the other way around at a Virginia elementary school. 23-year-old teacher Madison Swift was eating while working with one of her first graders when she began choking, unable to breathe. These students tell WTVR.
She choked and she cannot breathe. All of a sudden, her face and eyes started going red.
But rather than panic, 3 of her first graders became superheroes. One hit the classroom call button.
They started screaming, "Miss Webb is choking."
Another ran to a nearby classroom.
I knew that she was choking, and I knew I needed to get another teacher.
And 7-year-old Colton rendered first aid.
I pat her on the back to get a food out of her choke.
It made all the difference.
They 100% saved my life. At the beginning of the year, I built that trusted and loved relationship, and so they saw their teacher in crisis, and they just kind of jumped into action right away.
Swift now calls them her little little lifesavers. And that's the world that we live in for Friday, the 5th of December. I'm Sarah Harnish, and this is the 5 o'clock report on Family Life.
Thank you for listening to this Family Life News podcast. If you've been encouraged by what you've heard, please share it with others and click the subscribe button to automatically receive future episodes. Family Life is a listener-supported ministry. Podcasts like this are made possible by your financial partnership. Find out more at familylife.org.